Her name was Catherine. We met when I was 26. She was brilliant, sharp, the kind of woman who could silence a room just by walking into it. Everyone wanted her attention. I was foolish enough to believe I could keep it. We married young. Too young, probably. But back then, I thought love was enough. I thought if you wanted something badly enough, if you worked hard enough at it, it would work out. That's what they told us. Love conquers all. Fight for what you want. Never give up. So I didn't. The first few years were good. At least I thought they were. We had a small apartment in the city. Not much, but it was ours. I worked long hours. She pursued her career. We had plans, dreams, the usual things people talk about when they're starting out. But somewhere along the way, things shifted. I can't tell you exactly when it started. That's the thing about slow deterioration. You don't notice it happening. One day you're happy, then one day you realize you can't remember the last time you were. Catherine became distant. Not in an obvious way. She still came home. We still shared a bed. We still went through the motions. But there was something missing, something vital. I tried talking to her. She said everything was fine. I tried doing more, being more. She said I was overthinking it, so I convinced myself she was right. Years passed like that, me trying, her pulling away, me trying harder, her pulling further. I remember our anniversary dinners. I would make reservations at nice restaurants, wear my best shirt, bring flowers. She would show up late, distracted, checking her phone. We would eat in near silence. I would ask about her day. She would give one-word answers. And still, I stayed. Because I loved her. Because I believed that if I just kept trying, if I just figured out what I was doing wrong, things would get better. My friends started to notice. They would ask if everything was okay. I would lie. Say we were working through some things. Say all marriages have rough patches. My sister told me once quietly, over coffee, "You deserve someone who wants to be with you." I got angry at her. Told her she didn't understand. Told her marriage wasn't supposed to be easy. But she understood something I didn't. The real breaking point came on a Tuesday. Not a special Tuesday. Not an anniversary or a holiday. Just an ordinary Tuesday evening in March. I came home from work early. I had planned to surprise Catherine, make dinner, open a bottle of wine, try once again to reconnect. She was on the phone in the bedroom. The door was slightly open. I could hear her voice. She was laughing. Really laughing. The kind of laugh I hadn't heard from her in years. I stopped in the hallway. She was talking to someone about a trip they were planning, a weekend away. Her voice was light, happy, excited. She never sounded like that with me anymore. I don't know how long I stood there, maybe a minute, maybe 10. But in that stretch of time, something inside me finally broke. Not with anger, not with betrayal, with something much quieter. Exhaustion. I was tired. Tired of trying, tired of not being enough, tired of living in a house with someone who clearly wished I wasn't there. When she got off the phone and found me in the kitchen, I asked her a simple question. "Are you happy?" She looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in what felt like years. And she said no. I asked if she wanted to try counseling. She said she didn't think it would help. I asked if there was someone else. She said it wasn't about that. I asked what she wanted. She said she didn't know. We separated 3 weeks later. The divorce took 2 years to finalize. Not because of money or property. We didn't have much of either. It took that long because Catherine kept delaying, postponing, saying she needed more time to think. I waited, because that's what I had always done. During those 2 years, something strange happened. I started to feel lighter. At first, I felt guilty about it. I thought I should be devastated, heartbroken, fighting to save my marriage. But instead, I felt relief. I moved into a small apartment, 1 bedroom, nothing fancy, but it was quiet. And in that quiet, I started to remember who I was before Catherine, before the constant trying, before the endless effort to be someone she might finally love properly. I started going for walks in the morning, reading books I had been meaning to read for years, calling old friends I had neglected, sleeping through the night without anxiety twisting in my chest. I realized something. For the first time in over 4 decades, I had peace. Not happiness, not joy, just peace. And I discovered that peace is not nothing. Peace is not settling. Peace is not giving up. Peace is the foundation that everything else is supposed to be built on. The divorce was finalized on a Thursday afternoon. I signed the papers in a lawyer's office. Catherine wasn't there. She had her attorney handle it. I went home, made dinner, watched the sunset from my balcony, and I felt okay. 6 months later, Catherine called. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken since the papers were signed. But something made me pick up. Her voice was different, softer, almost uncertain. She asked if we could meet for coffee. I should have said no. But curiosity got the better of me. We met at a cafe downtown. She looked the same, maybe a little older, a little more tired. We made small talk for a few minutes. Then she got to the point. She said she had made a mistake, that she had been thinking about us, about what we had. She said she wasn't sure she wanted the divorce, that maybe we had given up too easily. I sat there, listening, and I felt something I didn't expect. Nothing. Not anger, not hope, not sadness. Just nothing. I looked at this woman I had spent 43 years trying to please. This woman I had rearranged my entire life around. This woman whose approval I had chased like it was oxygen, and I realized I didn't want to go back. Not because I hated her, not because I was bitter, because I had finally found something I hadn't had in decades, peace. And I wasn't willing to give it up. Not for anyone. I told her gently, kindly, but firmly. She looked hurt, maybe even surprised. I think she expected me to jump at the chance, to be grateful she was reconsidering. But I had changed, and she hadn't noticed because she had never really been paying attention. We finished our coffee, said goodbye. I never saw her again. I'm telling you this because I wish someone had told me when I was younger. Love is not supposed to hurt that much. Not constantly. Not relentlessly. Not for decades. Yes, relationships take work. Yes, there are hard seasons. Yes, you have to show up even when you don't feel like it. But there's a difference between working through temporary difficulty and enduring permanent misery. If you are always the one trying, always the one apologizing, always the one bending, always the one wondering what you did wrong, you're not in a relationship. You're in a prison of your own making. And the terrible thing is, you're both the prisoner and the guard. Here's what I learned too late. Peace is not boring. When you're young, you think passion is supposed to be turbulent. That real love is supposed to consume you. That if it doesn't hurt sometimes, it's not deep enough. That's a lie. Peace is not the absence of feeling. Peace is not settling for less. Peace is what allows everything else to grow. Peace is the soil. Love is the flower. And you cannot grow flowers in concrete. You need to ask yourself honest questions. When you think about coming home at the end of the day, do you feel relief or dread? When your phone rings and it's them, do you smile or sigh? When you imagine the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years with this person, do you feel excited or exhausted? These are not small questions. Your body knows the answers before your mind does. Listen to it. Time moves differently when you're older. When you're young, 40 years sounds like forever. It sounds like endless chances, infinite opportunities to fix things, to make it right. But 40 years is just 14,000 days. And when you spend most of those days feeling unseen, unwanted, or undervalued, it doesn't matter how many days it was. It was too many. I cannot get those years back. I cannot undo the decades I spent trying to earn love from someone who was never going to give it. But you can make a different choice. You can stop right now and ask yourself if the person you're with sees you, really sees you, not who they want you to be, not who you're trying to be for them, you, as you are, right now. If the answer is no, you need to ask yourself why you're staying. And please be honest. Not hopeful, not optimistic, honest. There's a specific kind of loneliness that comes from being with someone who doesn't truly want you there. It's worse than being alone. Because when you're alone, you can at least admit it. You can do something about it. You can build a life that feels like yours. But when you're lonely inside a relationship, you lie to yourself. You tell yourself it will get better, that you just need to try harder, that this is normal, that everyone struggles like this. And years pass. And you wake up one day and realize you can't remember the last time you felt genuinely happy. The peace I found after my divorce wasn't glamorous. It didn't come with fireworks or revelations or sudden clarity. It came quietly, slowly, in small moments. A morning where I didn't wake up with a knot in my stomach. An evening where I cooked dinner just for myself and didn't feel guilty about it. A weekend where I did exactly what I wanted and no one made me feel selfish for it. That's peace. And once you have it, you realize how rare it is, how valuable, how worth protecting. I'm 82 now. I've lived alone for almost 4 decades. Some people probably think that's sad, that I wasted my chance at love, that I gave up. But I didn't give up. I chose myself. And I learned something that no one tells you when you're young. You can survive without love. People do it every day. But you cannot survive without peace. Not really. Not in any meaningful way. If you're in a relationship right now where you're constantly trying to prove your worth, constantly waiting for them to see you, constantly hoping tomorrow will be different, stop. Just for a moment. Stop trying. Stop hoping. Stop waiting. And ask yourself one question. If nothing ever changed, if this is exactly how it will be for the next 40 years, could you live with that? If the answer is no, you already know what you need to do. The question is whether you'll do it now or wait until you're 82, looking back at all the years you gave to someone who never truly wanted them. Catherine called me one more time. About 10 years ago, I almost didn't recognize her voice. She said she thought about me sometimes, wondered how I was. I told her I was well. She asked if I ever thought about what might have been, if we had tried harder. I told her the truth. No, because I know exactly what would have been. 40 more years of me trying. 40 more years of her wishing I was different. 40 more years without peace. I don't regret loving her, but I do regret how long it took me to love myself more. If you take anything from this, let it be that. Love is important, but peace is survival, and you deserve both.